So I want to talk a little bit of science today. Now I'm going to put a link down below this video of an article I wrote about, and I say his name wrong and I don't want to butcher it because he's such a brilliant man. Nassim is his first name, and I think it's Husiam for the last name. My apologies. Anyway, I have always been a fan of the forefathers, the godfathers of quantum physics, right? So Niels Bohr, Max Planck, Albert Einstein obviously was one of the most famous theoretical physicists. We've got Hugh Everett. God, there's a few, but those are the majority of them. My favorite was John Archibald Wheeler. He's the guy that pretty much said consciousness is how we create the universe, and the universe is consciousness. And so now that's being proven. So there's this newer, and I don't mean newer, he started doing his experiments and publishing in 1999. When I say publishing, I don't mean he writes books. I mean he's an actual bona fide scientist. And he is what I would consider a combination between Albert Einstein. If Albert Einstein and Deepak Chopra had a baby, it would be this guy. It would be this guy. It even looks like a combination of them. And he's brilliant. And actually he did a 2-hour video on, I think it was on the unified vacuum theory, and you're like, what? I don't care about that. I want to manifest. But I'm telling you that what Nassim has proven in his groundbreaking discoveries and research is all of the things that quantum physics has been telling us softly, and that spirituality and metaphysics and esoteric studies have been saying much more loudly. He came up with something, and it's I'm not going to be able to explain it because he's a brilliant mathematician and I'm not. And when it comes to to the mathematical equations, it can get really, really heady. So when I say something is the 10th to the 93rd, that's like imagining 93 zeros after a 10, comma 93 zeros. So what he explained, and if you go to the Tony Robbins YouTube channel and you can look up his name, Nassim, I think it's Naissim. I think it's called Bending Reality, something like that. Improving reality? I don't know. Anyway, he goes really deep into his scientific research. And one of the things that is, one of the many things that is just really amazing, and I've watched this video a couple of times. I know a lot of the stuff in it, but that his recent research, like he proved something at the same time that it was proved in Russia. And his calculations were more accurate than the ones in Russia. So this guy is a brilliant. But here's what you need to know. Why do you care? Here's what you need to know. We already know that if I take like a big heavy crystal like this and I put it under a microscope, we already know that it's going to be 99%, 99999 empty space. That's quantum physics. I've probably used that example in probably at least 7 or 8 of my books. So that's like old news, right? But I want you to really get a grasp on what that would look like in real life. It would be like taking a little green pea, like from the Green Giant, and putting it in the very middle of a football field. And I'm talking the seats and everything. I'm talking a stadium. That is the ratio, relatively speaking, of inside an atom of the particle versus the electron. The particle is what is considered solid. It's very, very teeny. And the electron is the charge. It's the charge. And so what Nassim said in this video was that science, the last 100, 150 years, we're always so concerned with the little p. And we have just always, scientifically speaking, the scientific community has always just said, oh, this is just space. It's just empty space. Look at it. It's all over. We got plenty of it. So what? It's inside our body. So what? It's at the very base of a subatomic atom. So what? Well, what his math and his research has proven, which is what metaphysics and spirituality has been saying all along, is that that space is not space. It's not empty space. It's energetic. It's the ether. It's the Akashic field. It's the quantum field. It's malleable. These are my words, not his. But it's alive. It's alive. Like we think all this space between me and the wall is just empty space, but it's energy. It's a field. And what we now know is that consciousness not just controls the field, observes the field, but the field wouldn't be here without consciousness. It's really, really trippy. And where all this comes into play is that we have to stop thinking of ourselves, our bodies, as matter, and recognize that we are a field of information, that some parts, like my fingers, my shoulder, have been slowed down and become dense enough where they feel like matter. And the reason it's so easy for us to think all of this, matter is so solid is because we're operating with our five senses. It's what we see, it's what we feel, it's what we touch, it's what we smell, right? What we hear. But we have to understand that on a scientific level, the spectrum is like this tiny. And it's a good thing for where we're at in our society and civilization right now, because if we had the capacity to see in a wider range than just this on the visual spectrum, if we could see like even that much, we might be seeing aliens, we might be seeing people who have passed away, we might be seeing quarks and vectors flying around. And who's to say that people that are considered mentally insane don't just have a wider perspective of auditory or visual? We don't know. But the point being that because we know for a fact that there is this field that is within us, that creates us, that is outside of us, that is the entire universe, and the field is malleable, and it's aware, it's consciously aware, and that we have consciousness. Let me give you an example. It's like if you take a drop of water out of the ocean, and remember the world, our planet Earth is 75% water. And if you just took one teeny drop, that ocean has the information and energy of that drop has the information of the whole ocean. It's a holographic version of it, right? So it's out here thinking it's just all on its own, kind of like us humans, all on its own, doesn't need no stinking ocean, but it's part of the ocean. So you could take that drop of water and flow it back in there, and it would just blend with the water, with the ocean, right? But you could also take that drop of water and you could put it in a petri dish, and you could analyze it, and then you could take a 10-ton a 10-ton container of ocean water, and there would be nothing different between those two, because this is a hologram of the whole. This is a piece of it. And that's what we humans are. But we forget, because we have our limited senses. Our 5-sense self walks around going, nope, I'm separate, you're different, you like that, I don't like that. And we get so immersed in our differences and the distractions that we forget that there is this field where when we access it, we have access to our creative God-given talent and gifts that we can structure. Think of the field as the information structure of the entire universe. And in this video, Nassim was saying that if you took a teeny cubic square and of a cell, and you dove really deep inside of it, that there's enough energy in that fraction that could keep the entire universe, the observable universe, using energy and electricity forever. See, we're under this illusion that we don't have enough energy. Not true. And Tesla knew it, and that's why Tesla was like, oh, he's just a weirdo. Let's go with Thomas Edison's idea. That'll make us more money. Anyway, not trying to be snarky there. I'm just saying we have access to the field. We have access to all of this, and that's what his passion is. He doesn't write books on manifestation. He doesn't coach people on how to create a greater reality. He's freaking hardcore focused on using quantum physics and crystals to create an energy source that will keep the world, I mean, he's got big dreams. Like, he's a sci-fi guy, like maybe flying to other planets and so forth. But he is well on his way to creating a resource of energy, which is a fantastic, fantastic mission. Little old me, in the meantime, is just sitting here trying to help you understand that you have the power of this immense, eternal, infinite potential of quantum field. You have this power right here within you, outside of you, even though outside of you is actually within side of you, I don't know. You know what I mean. You have this power that you can create anything. And, it's not going to be $1 million. That's not what you're here on this planet for. Some people are. A very small percentage of people are like, I just want to be wealth. I need wealth. I need to be, Elon or Warren Buffett. But for most people, wealth is not one of their highest values. We want to be comfortable, right? I would much rather live off-grid in the mountains, in a big cabin with kids and dogs and, than a big Beverly Hills mansion any day of the week. So everyone has different needs. Now, if you are of the, I want the wealth, that's cool if that's what you really want. But the point is, we have this quantum field that we can create anything that we desire, but we have to access it. And the creator was no dummy, is no dummy, because if everyone could just access it instantaneously, and I want to own a shopping mall, I want a rescue center, I want a husband, I want this, I want that. I have a husband, but you know what I mean. All these things, and we just had them right here. What would be the purpose of life? You see, the Creator is very smart in that the only way that we can access the kingdom of heaven is to go within. And to go within means you have to disconnect yourself from your five senses, from this external reality that you already created. And the more you look at it and get mad about it, the more you are reinforcing it. But you have to go within and then create. And the main goal of every session when you go inside is brain or mind, heart coherence. Be above your body, be above your emotions, beyond your body, beyond your emotions, beyond your environment. Be in the field. Create in the field. Consciousness creates. If you witness it, hello, observer effect, and you feel it, now you have heart-mind coherence, and you are creating. And from that point, I once heard a scientist say it would be scientifically impossible for you to sit here and manifest a car, because that would take metal and form. And this was like right after the movie, the film The Secret, and he wrote a book bashing how this is impossible. And I'm like, dude, when you access the quantum field, you quite likely are entering a different timeline. You're stepping into a different timeline. And if that's not the actual definition, it could be through the observer effect. So you don't need to worry about how would you actually make a car and the metal parts, and how would you do that with your mind? That would be physically impossible. Yeah, of course it would, because we live in a very dense, 5-sense self world. So of course, from that perspective, it would be impossible. But that's not the field we're operating in. We're operating in a field that is out of this third dimension. And in the fifth dimension, anything is possible. Anything is possible. Time travel, astral travel, remote viewing, all of it's possible. I know, and I've done some of it, and it's very, very possible. But we have to step outside of what we see, and that's the hardest thing for people. That's the hardest thing. So anyway, read the article below, read the article, and see what you think, and apply the things that we always talk about on this channel. Apply the things I talk about in the article. Get out of your own way. Use your mind and your heart. Use resources like when I do scans and frequency medicine. That really helps clear the information field. When your body gets sick, it's not getting sick because you smoke too much or you ate bad. Those things matter, but not nearly as much as the information field where the structure of the illness already was because of the incoherence, the chaos in the heart and mind. Okay? So links below. Enjoy.